For today's episode, I talked last week about walking in like a king or queen, but the fact that you should walk in as a boss because someday you will be there if you believe in it first, and how anybody that we look up to as other big creators or success stories, they might seem like overnight successes, but actually they figured out their belief and then stacked confidence over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they just kept going. I want to build on that a little bit because philosophically, it's really helpful to realize all of this, but how do we actually accomplish it? What do we actually do about it? You know, the next time that you post something, create a landing page, ask a question, go on a meeting, walk into your gym or sports field, how do you walk into those situations like you were already the queen or king? It all starts with understanding that fundamentally, swagger sells. And I talked about swagger a little bit in the last episode as well. The fact that it doesn't need to be some cringe, annoying personal brand influencer thing. Swagger just means believing in your self-worth enough to start spreading your messages. So swagger sells, and humans sell too. Now you're a human, right? I know it's a stupid rhetorical question, but if it is true, then you are a salesperson. Whether you like it or not, you are selling who you are to the world, or you are selling some lessons in life to others. You are always selling yourself on what you want to do. You are selling what you believe in and the important messages that you need to share. And if you're not, then you really should be focused more on how to sell, because to sell is to be human. And this idea of showing up like a king, showing up with swagger, sells better than anything else. I know from talking to hundreds of you, the first step to building that swagger is by far the most difficult. You can always change the character you are, you can pivot, you can push forward, pull back a little bit, make little tweaks, and show up in different ways, but not until you have a character in the first place. And that starts with 3 steps to stand on the shoulders of giants. When I first started building any sort of a personal brand, I'd look at authors like Austin Kleon, and I would think that I could never publish a book. I'd look at speakers like Brené Brown or Simon Sinek and think that I could never stand on a stage like they do. I would see people and more pop culture type musicians and artists with a bit of jealousy because they seem to create their music, make their paintings, and share that art so simply and effectively. But the more that I've shown up believing in my self-worth, the more that I've gotten to meet and learn from people in these powerful social positions of pop culture power, the more that I realize they're really no different than you or I. And the same goes for any business owner. But before we have confidence, we need to trick ourselves into stealing from those artists. To have the self-esteem to believe in your version of whatever you want to create, then borrow from what they do before you actually feel confident. Oh, and confidence is not a finish line. This was another thing that I definitely got wrong. It's not like someday you get there and all of a sudden you've achieved confidence. It's an infinite, forever game, and it happens in 3 macro steps. The first is to start by standing on the shoulders of giants. This step 1 is just believing that you can. Just believing that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to, even if you have to pivot 100 times along the way, that you can get there. Believing deeply that if someone else has done it, you can too. And step 2 is to do your best to feel what they feel, create how they create, dress similar to them, do the things that they have done to get to the position that they are in. Always give credit while you create like them. And then we move to the third phase, to continue to add little elements of your own pizzazz and personal creative control over time, your work will start to look less and less like others. The way that you show up will be more and more true to your own unique, confident, one-of-one style. And while you're on this path, it's important to beware of the bullies. People who are uninspired or weak, who are yet to switch their mindset in this way, who don't want to show up with swagger, will try to drag you down. Don't let them. Way more people than you think, arguably anybody who's had to start from the bottom and work their way up, has achieved their success because they finally, at some point, started to believe that they were the owners of their life. And they started to tune out some of the noise, the pain in the ass, the bullies that try to drag them down. You need to believe that you own something, that you own your empire like the king or queen. But these people who just don't get it, who are struggling themselves, who are in too much pain to process, they will judge you and they'll try to hold you back. You'll come across vampires who want to suck your blood, robots trying to program you, and ghosts that haunt you. It's important to be aware of these bullies, but not give them enough energy to slow you down. Who gives a shit if people don't understand what you're up to? Just lean into the people who do get it. And who cares if people look at you like you have two heads? Because someday they're going to look at you like you have 22 heads when you accomplish those dreams. When all of a sudden they look up again and you are able to live the life you want to live on your terms, when you are the one who has become bigger, faster, stronger, and more accomplished while they are still standing and watching things fly by. Embrace your self-worth. Develop your high-value mindset, that mindset that allows you to bring that value to the world and scale your message as much as possible. Build your confidence through purposeful action. And when you do this, you'll find that the world not only accepts the challenges that you've put on yourself, but they'll begin to reflect back the success and influence that you're capable of achieving. Oh, and it's important to remember to just keep going. All right, there you have it. How do you actually show up with confidence even when you aren't feeling it? I love when people in the JKL community ask questions, so please keep them coming. The best way to do so is definitely through the newsletter, but either way, fire us DMs, replies, or comments about topics that you'd like tackled on the show. The more questions that you ask, the more answers we can provide, and the more that we're able to be specific in the way that we can help you succeed in the creator economy. I appreciate all of you so much. Until the next episode, all the best. And remember, just keep learning.